Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sanghaya Kandela Gwen Doga Raga Josa Monde Shye Yabo Gwen Lo Santa Seda Jeba Ne De She So So De Ye Na Ga Se Anje Be De Che Ze Ala Ma Ye Be Zo Ga Je Na Lo De Be Se Na Che Jo Do De Ba Je Je Ge Ja Sho So Xie Jie Che Ge Ja Be Lo Ge Zan Na Be Ge Yo Le Xie So Sha Be Be Je La Me Ze Be Go To De Te Be De De La Ye Wo Che Ye Na Zo Me Do Da Te Jin Do Be Na Se Che Cha So Sha Ye Che Che Je Ya Se Na Che Jo Che La Che Ba Be Ka Je Do Me De Ne Sa Ba Le Nga Ye Je Me Ga Je Je Ke Ba La Do Ba So Ye Me De Nye Ne Yeah. May I remind every one of ourselves here to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should participate in this Lamrim teaching, teaching on the stage of the path leading to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. Allow me to read about the remaining a page, a little over a page, from the Lamrim text, volume number 2 in the English translation of the Lamrim Chemo, page 149, to give you the blessing of oral transmission first, followed by explanation.
Jewa mo mi jewa dang dewa dang yi dewa jang di dewa mo jewa dang jewa me wa chi we di she bo jewa lu xing ni jang de ro de ri je din ji de la na me na ji na di we jiao 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 di we te te re pe yong tu dai be da yi ji da yi ji jang sui yi xie na sui wa yang da wan zi de jo ba sui be nga ba dang sui ji ge yin sui be nga ba ju ji ge ka za sui ba jin tong na yi ga xi kun de ga jiao yin xie dong pa xin di ba le jing xin dong do yi de me de yi dang xin dong do yi de ba la cui ji ta ba sui ba yin xin dong do yi dang de ba la cui ji ta ba sui ba yin xi song ji dian liu bu zu so ba da cui yi zhou lo sui ba yong su zhou tun dian nang ji jin yi bai da ba di ga du zhi zhang nang la dou ji bi ne shi men zhuo ge me la shi ye ji cui yi jun de le xin la ni de le xie la liu ge sui bei si jiu qiao ge sui bei qiao ge le mi xin jiu ce ge da dong wu bie na de wei te da de bei me do si sang ji ro ji wei cha bie zhuo yi zhuo xie dao ye le zhe ba yong dian zhen dian zhen rao jie ba yi su zhu sui ni jiang shuo ba yi xie sim jian ji lo zhe ba jie xian dong le men de ba dang ye zhe ba de ma xue bei bei chuo yi zha li wei zhe ba dong nu xie chung yu lang sui bei yi chou bei jian dang ni mo dong ma xie bei ga do ba nang jie dao ba dang ba dang nu shen me xian bu jun bei bi qu yi jun dang me zhi ba nang jie lo zhe ba jie de me bi bi hua xia se yi do jun zhui bei dong yi zhao bei su zhe ba zhi su ge ba de pe yong te me guo ne nga ba zhi le jia kang xi zhen de chou zhong den de dong xian du de xie song ba da re se ba yi ne de den na yi ji ga wa me nian bei se de tu ta ji de la xian ma yin zhong guo ji dian zhou jie bu de jian dang ta ri li da ri li xi guan de de wa de da la su bei yong nong xue ba le xu ji ri ji zhao yang ye ba ri xiu zha la de ma yi pa de gu ma xiu chui ni mi la mo dong ye ni mi ne jiu jiu le ge wa du ra nga wa yi ji ne da de xi xue la su li xi hen de da gu ti gu jia hu ri zhe ba jie su de ne pa 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 wu zhe bei zhe ba che da yi jiu jiu de guo ba nang wen jian bei nang ba re wei wen do le ne ge ba jia ri sa bei ge wan jiu ba song jiu ba yang ge ba jia ri sa bei de jian ba do ce zhe jie ba jin kong ba xie bei ge wan nang kong zhu sang ba ge jie xie jie bei jiang jiang ba song su yi xin zhe xie zhe ba gu ba ni ka ji ji chang sim gu ba xie la ka ji yu jie la xi wei wei nga ma ne jiu ba de kang ji ji si ne chuo ba ye jing da shi sa wei ge ji wei di jiu me xie song ba da jiang ba nang wu kong zhe jie dian ni chang sim ji ye zhe nang dian ni chang sim ji ye zhe nang ge zhen zhong nang chang sim wei bei chang sim la zhe na da ji me dùng这类生活性的有点像是么也把么也么有点像是说也么也特别有点也交通嘛，对没对那个些吧，但也完全吧，老晚早晚说这个早晚就吧了，像是了这把米个的。拉不就来跑跑，他不就要我们兄里边讲给弄的给弄个的，这都是没学的老人了，他们这小孩子什么同学吧。la de zo ba de da la zo ge lu da di sa ji sam ji ne be o ba ze ge di she do na se ji ko lo no mo bo to be ban chi ma xin ye ba de ni de ge lu di ko lo ge shi dong ju de lu zhe ba ju de xi xiao wan ni te ni se de ba ni o ko ji jiong de de lo su de mo zhe ba de jiong de le ge jiong de给弄给早的到小时候那我就在那给早的了，空的写吧的啥吧的，用是写作青蛙，用是写吧，就是 녀 거래 제다 청벌송벌 제와라 마중하다 매바 셰바데 다네 데다버니 예 마통데 녀고 디게서 셰바다 사바다 요서와도 요서 셰바라 저러로 녀와 거래 데다버니 지니 겨월라야 세미지에는 밤에 제바 남바르 셰바다 제부 룰라 다음에 지고시 나다뭐 지고시 돈을 셰소 계산되면도 정하지 교환하면 지부 뉴디지에도 받으면 지부시 언제마 정성의 대응을 다비디 지부 인지에 다들 제도 제대로는 게 지부시 봐 매대 지대베 라마 관계 정 방지에서 보면은 뉴모베서 보면 시베 쉬르시 개방가시 송모 다 지샤고 다 현존도 기다 디죽다 죽디미 시다베도 데마 죽디와 데도와 커서 다 돈도 니 제베데 저주 있으면 이제 폐 가서 공부도 또 수준으로 소비 쉬어버는 좀 싸워 인생 심지어도 노비 쇼인라 어디에 다가데 처럼데 애니비 가 잠슬랑제나 시도 쇼데리스 제다다 치르던데 사토부 치르다 주파모제 사토부 치르다 애니 지 파리도 가지 소도 뭐베 유드셰니 애니 다다비 소도 레동보 데레와 커서 유드셰니 용화 레동보 치르래 잠비 중도게 네넘라 삼바타바네 다든 로바 당스 레동보 치르데 데레와 다 커서 메게지르부 치르세 다 세이나 가르 라중이나 자 김바이나 자 수이나 다 타보 로야 디 무게지 분로 거라 어디 무게지 우스는 가르사 로바 가르사 다다네 로바토스 체바도 무게지 분로서 라이디 가디 이바니 시 dom지 당시 대다기 나네 짱 dom바 강랑비 자동남라 domsun 양당 양도 동아 람베와 샤워스 어디에다 단다 간지 야시 동이로 가서 시는 마시는 건제다 니는 해와나 신급에 상승 사토부 냠슬이나 이디 렌토고 말데 대답에 무베 유디 신다 텔 무디도 신이서 다 가지 먼저 텔야디 야고레스 진짜 중나 상나 다 디디가 다 람사 라렌다 또 말봐 다 소도 다 냠슬야데 메거치루지 람사 아니 인지 미스 냠슬랑레스 티나 다 디카스 바디미다 자동남서 되다 자주스베디 계자 시워와 진짜 미게지부디 제다게 자시 다 자동세디 자주스베 에는 카르지고 넘베스든 시워 어디 있어요
Geshe read couple of pages between 149, volume number 2 in the English translation, to 156 on the top. So we almost finished, talking about the perfection of ethical discipline or morality or ethics. And as Geshe explained, that ethical discipline or morality, Shila, is foundation practice. And there are all different types of Shila or ethics at different levels. But the basic ethics is that of refraining from or abandoning the 10 negative actions of body, speech, and mind. And this is where it all starts, if you will. And this ethics, if we can call it fundamental ethics, is common to both lay practitioners and ordained or monastic practitioners. So we should attend to these fundamental basic ethics, and then we should aspire for a higher level of ethics. We may not be ready, or we may not, be ready to commit to higher ethics, but at least we should aspire for them, and maybe even make an aspirational prayer. May I be able to take them and practice them soon. Now, regardless of whatever levels of ethics we are talking about, we really need to pay attention to the basic ethics of abandoning 10 negativities of body, speech, and mind, because this is so practical, because this tells us, what we cannot do, what we should not do, and maybe also tells us what we should do, and so it really constitutes our practice of abandonment and cultivation, jugdok in Tibetan, what needs to be engaged in, adopted, cultivated, and dog means what needs to be gotten rid of or abandoned, and so we should pay attention to that. And then as we aspire for higher ethics, that of Bodhisattva ethics and higher up, so once we take them, then the Bodhisattva ethics really includes what called the root transgressions, or the sometimes translated as root downfalls. So we really need to study them. What are the possible root transgressions or downfalls if we do take Bodhisattva ethics, or we have taken Bodhisattva ethics, and so that we don't indulge in those transgressions.
그래서 디지션은 비진 되게 있어요. 그래서 미개주다 폐자도 미개주 생기하고 그래요. 같이 미개거든요. 미개주 그런 뭐를 말에 강한 시간을 말. 또 들어야 들어와 루기 넘버 송으로 소주바 마시면 lem바스. 에는 로임스 somse. 에는 나고네 주도 참아가 가서 나제데 셔와. 다들 소주바데 데려가서 미개주 소주바를 하시. 다드네 아까서 마젤렘바데 하고라 꾸마고야 들어와. 에는 로임스는 에는 그게 다 켐바이나 에는 랑수모 뭐에 바디 현다 다가서 에는 사 패밀리아 에는 롱제나 에는 로임스 샤고라. 티알리디 som도 송제게.
So I just assumed that we all know what are the 10 negativities of body, speech, and mind that we should not do. Maybe perhaps it wouldn't hurt if I quickly run through this list of the 10 negativities of body, speech, and mind. There are 3 negativities of body, or physical negativities, which include Salchaba, killing or taking lives, Majimba Lamba, stealing, and Logyam, translated as sexual misconduct. And so now killing is quite understandable, right? Taking someone's life. Often we think in terms of, like, say, killing someone, right? That's what we're talking about. And stealing means, taking something that belongs to others, but without permission. You just take it away. And sexual misconduct, or logyam in Tibetan, sometimes we could translate it as extramarital affairs. In the case of married lay people, of course, married people are lay people, what am I saying? They can be monks or nuns. So married people, if you have extramarital affairs with anybody else other than your wife or husband or partner, whatever the case may be, so that is what we call sexual misconduct. So those are the 3 negativities of the body we should abandon. And then there are the 4 negativities of the speech, verbal negativities, which include, lying, or maybe, being deceptive, and use of harsh words, say something that hurts, others, and divisiveness, causing dissension and division among people, and ngajal, engaging in idle gossiping or frivolous talk, just kind of, there's nothing much, to that. Talk about everything, and there's no meaning or substance to that. Meaningless talk.
건수 다 임sem을 내려야 다 고고다서 가지 소소 두시교는 해고 다 배신다 장수시 소소들 이제 시에 밀리시는 진도고 말아 진짜도 소소 두시교는 해고 가지고 다 참만에 바로 두신자들와 두신자들 다들 그 군의 장상께 배 장수 마시시 죽인자는 참았어야 되고 그래.
No, so.
다 이거 넘어장 죽인자 이거 주인시는 참아도 주인인가래로 그러.
Right.
주인 참아 직접는 당한테 되게 소동동야도 들어와 부여받대 소동망을 시계도 소동용을 살아. 제시 이 가게에서 당한테 비지 미대기야 우리 라사도 차가 되게 당가제야 돼와.
No.
감정을 게시 돼야 되라.
No.
더나매 마다다 지가 시야 저다 시야 저 어디게 돼 능각시에서 그러와.
No.
그것에서 쇼르문들께서 피셔 비진 거게는 누구로 와.
No, so.
어디겠다. 나가 남바시 류기섬시 나가시 다 무기 수dum소야도 되다. 현의 해도 제바스도 장 뒤간이야. 이 꼴는 것이 아니라 나서 놓다 섬디셔로 와.
No.
어디 째되다.
No, so. So I just mentioned the four negativities of the speech, which includes lying or telling lies. This is dependent largely on one's intention or Geshe means you change your attitude, right? You just you don't want to you want to lie. There's that change in attitude. Let's say somebody has told you a lie and you just honestly believed in it. I don't know, for whatever your reason, you're naive or whatever. Then you told that to another person. That may not consider it lying because you just didn't know. You thought that's the truth of the matter. You heard, right? But you know the truth and you just change your attitude and you give false information or say something like that would be lying. And then divisive speech or causing disharmony or division or dissension among people. Now this could be again, you could be telling the truth, but if your intention is I just want to break up these people, friends, you could be telling the truth, but could be divisive speech, Now in addition to that, you have partly truth and partly false, you lie again, right, because you fabricate, more things with a little truth. Now you have a combination of both divisive speech and lying, right? Now it becomes even more negative here. And then harsh speech, as saying something that is hurtful, to people. And ngagel, we translate as idle gossiping and, frivolous talk. If you really think carefully, maybe a lot of the things every day we talk with each other, talk about things, maybe part of that, there is what we call not really, it's not a meaningful, purposeful talk, we're talking about all kinds of stuff, some of the classic examples given in the Buddhist text is, talking about warfare or something, things like that. So idle gossiping means just waste. It really wastes a lot of our time. Much ado about nothing. Just blah 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 blah. That's what it is.
어디 다 넘심스는 데려와 가서 거기 다 잘라서 총괄을 가서 잘라서 통 팅할 수는 상상을 때 넘심스기로 와. 다 누심스야 돼 걸 내게는 비게 걸 비게 다 조금서야 뭐 지시야 뭐 가르치는 걸 누구 지금은 삼야 삼바데 누심스기로 와. 다 록다는 걸 얘기니다 있네. 기왕 가지고 군점에 왔다 누구 저 록다스기로 와.
And then there are three negativities of the mind. Usually we explain them in terms of motivations often, and these are nabsem means covetousness, coveting for goods. Let's say you are doing window shopping or maybe real shopping, I don't know, right? But you couldn't afford to buy something, but like you could covet for things in the store. And the other one is harmful intention or nursem. Sometimes people translate as malicious intention. That seems too strong, actually. It's harmful mind, which basically means we want to, we wish others to be, harmed, wishing like all the bad things, happen to them, or like wishing that how nice if I can beat up that person nicely or something, all of that. And then lokta is translated as a wrong view or distorted view or perverted view, which in the Buddhist context means, completely disbelieving in the infallibility of law of karma and its outcomes or results. Or, disbelieving in the power and abilities of the enlightened beings or the three jewels, or complete disbelieving in the life, the cycle of rebirth, so life before and life after. So these are considered as examples of distorted views.
There, that is don't can the Karsa don't be say because swing the Ganga Chibon that Changju Simbe don't be say the shower Karsa. In Zadung Jobje, the Nishi Shinga Shangan, the Shidu Shower, that Kanji Zadung the any Nishi Boyak Dombatella, Changju Simbe don't be set himself.
So those 10 negativities of body, speech, and mind, abandoning them actually constitutes the basic ethics that we all should abide by, regardless of our whether we are lay people, practitioners, or monastics. And then, based on that foundation, if we aspire for higher ethics could include Bodhisattva ethics. So Bodhisattva ethics deal with what we call 18 root vows or transgressions, and 45 or 46, depending upon how you're going to count it, secondary ethics or transgressions.
Today, the Karsa Nishi Shinga Shidu to the Yetalo Shidu more in the Zadung Jobje, Ramakandrajma.
And so, because of the time factor, and also, I don't know whether I will be able to recall everything in my mind, all the, secondary transgressions or the ethics of bodhisattvas. But I thought it would be nice to have a quick run through the 18 root vows or the transgressions of bodhisattvas based on my recollection.
There that Zadung with the Dagdu Shimu say Zadung say there were Dagdu Shimu say that there because the Yingurda in the Yeba to good it, like Yeba good the song with Tandal in the Shen Meva in the Dal there. But that was Yeba the Juna, the Shen top door, so on Tandal. In the part, Shenda Ngui, the Uncle Kayaman, the Kokashim, the Kotan, the conscious as she so to tell us on that. Or Tindex on the Yungu that some. And today, Shen in it, the Shen Meva, the Dadu Shimu with Satums. Or the Chita young so called Magania, and the Remena Sadum de Rumor, that Dibateora. And that Sadum Yumba music, they go, Yungu and some have music, Tony Yalgo.
And so among the 18 root vows or ethics of bodhisattvas, the first one is called Dakte, praising oneself, Shenme, belittling others, And so praising oneself or disparaging others. How this one, works is the motivation has to be, maybe gaining a certain reward for oneself, gift or reward or resource, or some name or fame or whatever reputation, or gaining some service or something like that. So with that kind of a motivation, and if we indulge in self-praising as if, I'm somebody or I'm whatever, and this other person is, Geshe didn't say that, but dodo head, we tell her, why you are just, giving this gift to the dodo head, look at me, next to you, kind of thing. And so that could really constitute, breaking this bodhisattva root ethics. It can be transgression, right? But if your motivation is none of those three things, right? You just don't like this person, right? Dodo head. So you just call like, well, then that is a negativity, but that may not constitute downfall, this ethics, You may indulge in self-praising and belittle others, but your motivation is just that you don't like this person, other person, right? That may not necessarily become this particular root transgression. That root transgression is attached to some of those motivations, right? Either you are seeking some reward or like money or whatever for yourself, or some fame or reputation, name, fame, all of that, prestige, or some kind of a service, right? With any of those motivations, then you do that. So that would be breaking the first root ethics.
That Chunur meditation said that Chu the Norva, that Chu Nord the something Dorshe, Chu the Chu be Jiba Chu Shiajawati, Sadun the Kanda Yungusan, Chunur meditation, the Yungur, that been 디 롱겐데 다 소소 모두 노르데 쉐도 소소 모두 디 내가 콜 비게 라야 메고 딘데 지스고 근데 멤버가 가네라나래 소저요나 마데나 자동 중고 말봐 다 소저 되는 제 마데는 거 내가 거 라고 말봐 딘데 지가 에네 쇼노메 되는지 엔 자동 지단신데 쇼메데 와다 엔 노르메데 레렌 자동 레데 장갓지데 장 다도 시무 자동세 쇼노메데 레레레미 지금도
나래.
자동 접지도 지고 뭐네 신은 다할 때나 자동 현만 자동 뭐 자동 중앙 다할 때 현을 뭐 인가 거 말아 직성을 이거 장가들이 이 직지고라
알론서. 다나게 추마다 세디 데시.
추세는 추해야 되는 다 추 임바세야 돼
알려서 신경에서 올라온서.
다들 추 야야 빼는 다 빼지 빼자 되네 야야 저 이나 되게 빼자 소소 모두 매시 이거 라차디나
And then the second one is called chönor mider, not sharing or giving, teaching or dharma and wealth, right? And so this is in the case where the Geshe explained that somebody has a need for a resource, let's say, a thing. And you are the only one who has it, right? And if you don't give it this to this person, then that might be breaking this root vow. Let's say if you are among many people, other people have it too, right? If you don't give it, it does not constitute breaking the ethics, right? Because anybody could have given. But it's something that you do have, but you're the only person here, and somebody needs it and don't give it. So that could be. So it could be both in terms of teaching and in terms of material gift of the wealth. And what Geshe explained here is, looks like there are two things attached together, isn't it? So we are counting it. We count, like, say, praising oneself or disparaging others as a one root transgression. But if we indulge in either of them, that's breaking the the root vows. Right? I mean, we might just out of ulterior motive indulge in self-praising, but we really don't have to talk about the dodo head, that is still breaking the vow. Or we might talk about the dodo head and not necessarily indulge in self-praising, that's still breaking the vows. But in terms of counting, these are counted as one, just like not giving teaching or wealth, right? If you don't give teaching, when you could or whatever, you're the only person, that may constitute breaking this particular bodhisattva root ethics.
我的看这些，大多是说认为下一门呢，直接帮我当时的对的，下一门呢是当他被呢，被没现在被上游啥说的矿场是浪源呢，因为现在的有人就会见的，因为水不水呢，谁上是的段，谁上忙年呢，因为这东西，现在直接帮我说的对的，特别是不需要这这人人的这个人没问题，特别是我这个。 特别做不动呀，那个搞的就可能这个，我的提上些干嘛的，提着过的说，提着帮我找东西是吧？我提。
No, sir. And then another one is what is called rejecting the Mahayana or great vehicle, Bodhisattva Yana, basically, and Shakyamuni, not acknowledging forgiveness, or the way Geshe explains Shakyamuni means, when somebody has sincerely asked for forgiveness, I'm so sorry for that, and then if you don't forgive the person, that could be breaking this particular ethics, and Technical power means you don't have to cast a person on the entire Mahayana teaching of Bodhisattva Yana, If we pick and choose certain aspect, this part of Mahayana really is really, how should I say, not authentic or something, whatever, right? We could make comments, so that could constitute breaking the ethics.
我的到开始，下一位推荐帮我当时工作些多，学不我们做些的，这里的，开始这个我开始，当在这了。 下一名推荐帮我当，下一开推荐帮工作些的，工作些的来看些，到工作上面在研究下来呢，这个商业个配下来的，那学一些的配下来，看见工作上看中了安慰，那诺些工作呢，对了，那工作是个，工作会啥东西。
And then another root ethics is Phuntsok kochok means taking away or snatching or robbing or stealing what belongs to the triple gem or the three jewels, right? Something that belongs either to the Buddha or to the Sangha or to the Dharma or to all of them. If we take that away, right? So that would constitute this particular root transgression.
어제 대신 가서
Phuntsok kochok.
군족고 슈붕 초식도
No.
단데 가서 슈붕세야디 디인서래 단데 그게 당기 피티제 봉하세 때 노래서래
No.
자 슈붕세야디 타임 디인서래 티바시 무비게 타기 샤성화 동이들이야 있는 상지가 뭐리란 슈붕 디인서래
No.
당기 티바시 부가만 있어야 인사마를 지당 티바시 중이요로 와
No.
어디 인사
Tagi tangbo de tek jen
어디
pon se di ka ma le se ale
어디
no.
상지가 뭐야 돼 인사마래
No so. Ta tanda chue pon se di.
어디 다 디진 소봉야 돼 디진 타기 차장도 밑에 디진가 뭐에서는 디진 소봉대로 와
Ki ngi tanda chik seba chamus ke. Tande chue pon se di takwa chimbe ke tapshe di sanje ka ma le lan chue pon so.
어디
Tagi tek jen pon lai di.
당기 디진 봉세야 돼 당기 디진 봉세야 돼 면도 걸사 티고 첨부 요물세야 디레게 면도 내가 세버 테모도
No so. No so. Ale di chidang chue pon me ke mar wa ge.
말에
No so.
슈붕세야 돼 단다 데려와
No so.
이 지금 그 서명을 넣어도 뭐서 또 쏟아보뇨 알레 딱다래 돼서래 단다 슈붕세야 돼 근데 마셔 버셔야
Lo.
티진다 티메마 당기데 티진랑시 단다데 티바 시중자데 마셔봐
Chue pon lo ro.
이니 양 탑이 차자동을 그거 티메나 티메 쇼 탑이 쇼래요 저는 지는 대쇼붕주고 말봐
Ale.
차정도 나 티바 셴보이나 디 티메나 디 간지 지당니
No so.
탑이 차정도 비 인상지에 가지래 이니 디 마르슬라나
알아.
어쇼봉아 소 디레샤 다 대속시네
No. Then another one is called rejecting the teachings, Shepong, or rejecting Dharma. What this really means is, in a general sense, any kind of a Dharma discourse that can provide kind of a complete understanding or information of both method and wisdom part, right? If we say, well, this is really, I don't think Buddha have ever said that, or something like that would constitute rejecting Dharma. Earlier we talked about rejecting Mahayana, right, Dharma, because somebody said, well, Buddha never taught Mahayana, just give me a break, kind of thing. So that, is part of the previous one. So this is in general, right? Any part of Buddha's teaching that really can provide us, understanding of method and wisdom. If we say this part is, I don't think Buddha ever taught, or I even don't say that. I don't think it's not a problem. It's just like Buddha never taught that, right? So that would be rejecting Dharma.
다 참여가셔야 된다라는 그 참여 가능한 신지로 와서 참여가 나왔어. 록단에다 당기 해야 그게 레전에다 군조메와다 록단에와.
And then committing any of the five what we call boundless crimes or the heinous crimes, right, which includes patricide and matricide, right? So that would be again, a root transgression in Bodhisattva's context. And something like the lokta, and then believing in or holding firmly any wrong view, distorted views we said earlier, right? Disbelieving in the law of karma, its outcomes, that would be a root transgression.
어디 다 맞아 돈이 된 조장도 해야 맞아 사야 될 때에 다 변 동반이 별로 장바 매운데 돈이 되는 거 세달 동시 애니 연도 견도 거 어디 맞아 돈이 된다. 조장도 해야 될 때에 변 상주스마다 레당 뭐 쪼안저지나 다 저는 개발 정면선 소사 상예도 말이 때에 님들은 타봤던 야가 요레스 라니 라인다 그 조정도 손을 그 자동 정보래. 이 맞아요. 그 만도는 자동 정보 말.
And another vow is teaching or explaining emptiness to the unprepared or the unsuitable vessel. Unsuitable means that somebody is, mentally not, suitable, to understand emptiness. And if one explicates the emptiness, there is a possibility that instead of benefiting this individual, we might send the individual into hell. I guess I didn't say that, but it's just my addition. So it can be worse. So this individual can become a nihilist, isn't it? If you don't understand emptiness properly, now you think that nothing exists at all. So if somebody becomes a nihilist through teaching emptiness that they're not ready for, this is a root transgression. Yeah. And then Dzogchen Do, it is encouraging someone to not to sort of pursue enlightenment. Let's say in the case of a practitioner who is bent upon seeking enlightenment, right? This means engaging in bodhisattva path and practice, and then we kind of tell them, what are you trying to, prove here? It's going to take 3 great countless eons. I really don't think you are up to that. Don't you think it's more practical you go to the nirvana rather than Buddhahood? You're just not ready, really. Listen to me, kind of thing. So that, and if that person believes in us, right? Say, oh yeah, oh my gosh, you really care about me. I'm really right. What the dodo head I am, right? Then this transgression happens. If the person doesn't believe in us, right? They say, you know what? I don't believe your story. Then we may not, have committed this root transgression. So it depends upon changing someone's attitude, right? Discouraging someone from following enlightenment.
소다가 동부터 송고 말했어. 근데 다 니무서 되래. 다 닌도 뺀다 니랑 글람도 되네. 애니 다좀 고모 토토고 말했어. 니무서 되래. 단다디 소다 본세도 슈 그게 유일 온도 상시. 지금부터 다좀 고모 더 방제 상시하고 서로. 어디 간지 니랑 그 배람을 되네. 다좀 토고 말했어. 어디 니무서 되세. 다 소다 세도 배랍중이나 되게 샤르sem 제자는 so
Then another Bodhisattva root ethics deals with encouraging someone to give up individual emancipation vows. In the case of ordained bodhisattvas, and if we somehow discourage them, like, you are really holy bodhisattvas, right? You really don't need to keep your monks' vows or nuns' vows, that's kind of a little there, And then this person really feels that, those are not important, then we will be committing this root transgression, And another ethics is if we, how should I say, cast aspersion on the path and practice of Sharvakas, right? Well, your path is not going to counteract your afflictive emotions and find nirvana, right? And if we cast aspersion on that or make somebody believe in that, that will be another downfall, root transgression.
that didn't there occursa. So the numu subzuma said that they not the Namjin here, Michelame Dinsa, but they're Penatape, did don't you thought that in China here, and Ghana, you cannot talk to say, don't you mother and don't you toy and Changu Simpson, the country contact, you know, come Matobalia to the shares on anything. Because I was the door, see the Michelame Dinsa, subzuma said it.
And then another root ethics of bodhisattvas is making this huge kind of false claim about realizations. Look, well, you know what? You should come to my teaching. I have something very profound realization that I already realized emptiness, and then I'm also bodhisattva, and you're really not, or we are not. And so making that tall false claim and deceiving others. And when others believe in us, that is the root transgression. And so, in the case of, in the context of Vinaya ethics or monks' disciplines, right? If they were to make such false claim, or honestly, as if I have highly realized person, that constitutes what we call, for lack of better words in English, Micho Lamen Zun. It's a great lying. That can really, my footnote, which I can make a mistake here, is that you might lose your monastic vows, by making that claim, right? I'm somebody which you are not, in terms of realization,
어디다 그래서 sabduma shosum 꼴len 세야데 군조 꼴len 세야데와 당기데 군조 꼴초 세야데 소소 쉐베데 다다 shosum 꼴len 세야데 베데 미직데바 답이 골로르 제요나 거 지금 그거 디잡레죠 거리는 인텔비게 유고 pom부를 비게 세드기 중심적으로 소시야 에네 디 pom부 제주시에는 에네 거 비게 체바도 당도선 다그 체바 제야 말하네 에네 꾸마군 비게 군조 잘라든지 꾸니 에네 그 체바 제베이나 에네 디다 pom부 팀공도 디 소소 당기 그 렌즈기상 년바지 저거 말해 어디 년발랑서나 어디서 저좀 걸 렌사데 년발랭 디데 신거 여러 지바 렌기네 그저게 din스 소소 데서야 지금 삼모 여러 와 저좀 걸 렌사데
This is very easy, actually. Even I'm hearing the new explanation here. Choksum Kolen, I think it has been translated as taking what has been offered to the three jewels, right? Literally, that's what it means. But according to Geshe's explanation, which is very interesting, is that, let's say, some authority, penalizes a person that you should, compensate materially for whatever the crime you have committed, right? And the person doesn't have the resources, so he goes and take away offerings made to the Buddha, and then come back and use that as compensation. And now the authority is kind of happy with, okay, you're good, so now I'm going to reward you, right? So if you receive that reward, so this is what is called taking what has been offered to the three jewels. So that I'm hearing for the first time this explanation, right? It doesn't seem like just simply taking away what's of kunjo somebody apusha but lemazam mare that and again this is going to gala the ki pige karsa nyeje de jen sumnya bara abs ko ba
어제 근데 다디 그 텔폰게 디 체바도 걸 무메버 접시 인 코코마 다디 pom보데 제로 다 pom보데 거 다버서도 이엔 좀 기여로 어디 엠바텐스
some double checking that I got it right. So this is a case where you take away things offered to Buddhas and you use them to fulfill your penalty for something, and then the authority now excuses you and as a matter give you a gift or a reward, right? For fulfilling your penalty, and that is called receiving. That is called breaking this root vow. Yes.
Geshe tede kara tada kasa shosukole nimu sabzuma shosukole chimyensewa chimyenba shaasede da dipena 비 그 추양다 봐 신경을 비게다 삼나도 서시니 인베 뽕 바디 공장게들 튕긴데 버지나 인코디 튕기디게 비 강동신게 강도디에도 저 쪄요로 공장게 야가요 그 챔체네 인디 뽕아바게 비게 용거도 뒤에 봐 강동신게 줘로 되시고
알아요
침년 샤세 침년 뭐 샤세고라 어디
So another ethics which has been translated as following bad discipline. It's not so much following discipline. I think it is like enforcing some kind of. So according to the explanation, this is the case. Let's say, somebody who is really engaged sincerely in a meditative practice, right? And so people make offerings to this person, her, and so. For some disliking for this person, so you make sure that this offering doesn't go to the meditator, but you divert it to give to somebody who is just doing some chanting or chanting or just reciting prayers. Right? So that kind of diversion of the resources can constitute this downfall, right? Because the one who is really engaged in a very serious practice, right? So whatever offering is meant for that person, out of your disliking, you divert it to somebody else, right? Well, no, give this to the, I don't know, say the praying group here, so that would be a transgression. You make some kind of a rule here or discipline, right? Yeah. So this could be part of your sort of hidden agenda that you don't want anybody to do meditation, right? And so in order to break this person, so to speak, so if you cut off offerings to the person, and this person might somehow, right, may not be able to continue the practice, and then might start just doing simple prayers instead of meditation, because now you're getting all the offerings, right? That's what it is. So this kind of maybe I just said what called the ethics maybe related to the social conditions of of the ancient time, and Geshe is just telling a story here to illustrate the point, because there were times meditators really found it very difficult to find sustenance, right, for the practice. Looks like everybody ignored them, because. So at one point, one of the great Kadamba Geshe Podawa, he went through that hardship. He was meditating for a long time, and he only had a very limited grains, that he could use for a month. And so at some point, even he thought about that. Oh my gosh, it's hard to sustain my meditation. Maybe if I go down and do some prayers, I might get plenty of food, but then I won't be able to do meditation. So what do I do? So he had that kind of a thinking. And then that said, in his dream that night, Tara appeared, and Tara said, just stick to your goal. Don't worry about the food, and I'll help you. Find your sustenance. And then the next day, some local people brought more grains, to him, and so he was able to continue his practice. So maybe in those social conditions, sometimes meditators were ignored like anything. Maybe perhaps not the case today. We don't know anyway. So that's it.
어디를 가서 대신 그 처음에 차순동 다 심리 차와지 다 처음 심리 동 세대장 내려 내려와 가서 차심도 정신심도 하더라 심리 차순동 저 데려다 가서 시부모미 설명하다 로다 정신 좀 맞아 돈이도 도전도 소다 본다 니무 사주마 소중권이 치민 샤준동 미미메다 정도마다 샤준다 정주심동 하더래샤
And then the last one is giving up one's altruistic mindset, bodhicitta, and that would be a root transgression.
어디다 들다 성구지로 로다도 선동 자중적인 성시도당 다 뒤에 강가는 로다다 정식심 동아더니 그는 로다에 깨와 잠게 있는 동거와 정식심 동아 잠게 너무 동거와 다 현다 뒤에 강가 쭈쭈 보텔라 있는 강궁어다 팀이 군지 희상고 다라와 가와시 그래서 담보베 내가 그들 가보건시가 고시도 톱 사는 데 입니다.
맞아.
팀에서 답에 팀에서는 데려와 소설도 있는 게 만집의 팀에 와서 현달단 알레 소설된들 고자 매 봐서 현달 팀에 와서 그러와. 또 강궁어사 팀이 군지 희상소나 인자동래고
알레 시가 상고 거래
라
군지 시가 상고
군지 자동래고 군지 시가 상고 다 군지 단대대가 좀더 예명매다야 누셔래도와 예명매다 그 소지는 근데 예명마다 그 찍고 현다 som상 그 찍고 마다나 자동차에도 고말.
알레.
니무미도 때 잡체게 되래도.
노스.
다 현다 솜데다 니무미다 그니비 더워 뭐 칼대 찍혀거라.
그게 가구 스틱지거리 니즈거게.
라 강구스 인조 가와 고아세.
가구스로 와.
가스도 당부
모자 테메디.
주베 내갑셰.
노.
구스도 다 지토운데
No,
다 레 삼서 좀 말해.
라레.
좋아.
가구 모자체.
아니 팀이 세야 돼. 걔는 팀이 세야 돼.
모자 테메
걔는
찍지.
때 모자 팀이 세야 돼.
찍지.
어 근데 뭐차 매워다 팀이 인즈거다.
알레니 게 디가리 님이 메다저는 가쳐도 오게.
나 정말에 강국 모자 팀 군비시 상구 지루물어서 강구
만게 가쳐도 게세게 가구제로 하게.
알레
모자 테메제. 아니 님이 지금.
아 모자 팀이 찍지고
찍지로 하게.
어때? 강군인데 가가지고 말해.
노스.
모자 팀이 찍지고 해서.
노스.
어때 그래서?
Just to make sure, clarify things. So those are what we call the 18 root ethics, sometimes root transgressions of bodhisattvas. But among these 18, there are two, giving up bodhicitta, altruism, and holding distorted wrong views. If any of these things pop up in the mind, then that would completely constitute downfall or the root transgression. It doesn't need any other conditions, right? Besides that, we hold a wrong view or we give up bodhicitta. For the remaining 16, right? 16, for each of them to be a root transgression, there are certain conditions to be met. We usually translate as kunti means fetters, right? There are binding factors. There are 4 of them. And these 4 factors must be present in order to commit, root transgression in the case of the remaining 16. The 4 factors are kagu. Ka means, you happily indulge in breaking the right, in negativity or indulging. That's, delightedly breaking the vow. That's one factor. And guva means after you have done it, you have that satisfaction like, I did it, did I, right? So that is a guva, right? The satisfaction derived from indulging in that activity. So that's 2. And ngoza teyo are counted as 1. Ngoza means lack of sense of shame, and which mean and the other one is teyo means sense of embarrassment. Now I don't know how much sense we're giving in English. The way it is explained, the difference between sense of shame and embarrassment. Is if you take yourself as a reason that I should not do this because I should be ashamed of that. That's a sense of shame. But if you think, I should not do this, if I do that, what would my teachers think about me? What would my parents, somebody else might think about that? That we call sense of embarrassment, at least in terms of definitions, okay? So these are counted as, together counted as 1. And then Nimi Mida, not seeing faults in committing transgression, right? So if all these 4 conditions or factors are present, then we would be committing, a root transgression of the 16, any of the root transgressions of the 16. If all of 4 are not present, then it may not be root transgression. It is negativity, right? Especially not seeing fault is the important factors here. You might have other 3, but you don't have, right? But you do see fault as I'm not proud of this, right? Then, it won't constitute a root transgression. Okay.
다 찍래야 되게 너무 충자자이자 그래와 가서 그저거 저거 서명가도 록다 총소 좀 록다다 총좀 다 되면서 록다도 다 되게 되게 록다 지고 말해와 얘기들이 다 총은 좀 세야 돼. 무슨 뭐 되겠는데 다 거기 정말 그 강바시 부르면 내바시야죠. 어디 메시아 게자 말이. 그런 정말 메시아에서는 네발로 하고로. 다 정권은 정말 다 같이 마저 자는 뇌 가서 지는 어디 강바시 부르 자라 저러 어디 종점 모습도 와. 어디 지래. 그 록단 록지. 어디니 야잖아 다 자동적이 강다다다요.
So Kishila, he recited quickly the 18 root vows of bodhisattvas or the downfalls, which depending on how we look at it. And then he skipped one. The one that he skipped is called destroying towns or so forth. So this is not necessarily having to kill people inside the town, but if we destroy their environment or the houses, everything, so that is a root transgression. Okay. So with those, he's sure that he talked about the 18 root vows of bodhisattvas.
어디 다 저도 저기 드비게 저기 다 티다다 티가 태워요는 되게 다 세이시 저거래 그래요.
No, sure.
어디 저기서 다 델테서도 domba kanlambe zadung나라세. 근데 dom서양다 양디 동안에 매버 샤워스. 어디 다다 소르데 값 봐발라이네. 미가 좀 생이 해자라 다 사동세데 단다데 값은 데 도조 송자 엔 정시습에 따등도 인가가 따등 게자 말아.
No.
어디 어디를 시까지 넘진을 비게 소도 따도 없이는 시작을 쓰기도 어디래와.
No, sure.
다 대다시나 시바 유도 어디래시나 시바 유든 얘네 배츠 야르 도네 에네 배 강에 매워신 에네 배 강선 배 푸드 좀 도야야 요래시 데라 마지비시네 에네 배 그러면은 저 짜네 마자 대샤나 인 데네 과 예와 누구르 야 콘베드야지 아무리 에네 데네 배 페메도 다 녜송 기마도 매워샤도 그래 시군다 다 노디도 데레문데
No, sure.
다단데 데나라스 가르사 파르토는 현지지에 니동의 연구 거가 저기 저한테만 실습을 라면데 봐 저게 다달린 배버 샤워사 어디에다.
No. So on page 150 in the summary, that's where we find it stated that we should learn about these fundamental ethics of bodhisattvas, and then make sure that we abide by them and we restrain ourselves from transgressing them, if you will. If we train ourselves in this manner, we will, with passage of time, see improvement and growth. But if we never, abide by the discipline, then there is not going to be any progress or improvement. As a matter of fact, we might not realize how many negativities we are creating, which could precipitate our rebirth in bad situations and migrations. And so, as it is stated here, I quote. However, if you neglect these things now, you will be continually tainted by very grave faults and transgressions, and moreover, for many lives, you will be unable to learn the bodhisattva trainings. So from now on, strive at these practices. So as Geshe explained, that the key is to at least try our best to practice. With this, we will make improvements over time. But if we never even attempt to practice, there is no hope for improvement and progress. No, sir. And so we have completed this chapter on Bodhisattva's perfection of ethics, or Shila Paramita. And so next Sunday, there is no teaching, but there is the Chidamanitara prayer ritual here at 10:30. If you could participate in that. I checked with our managing director, Geshe, and he said there are only a couple of books. We don't have enough for everybody. But monks, probably know the rituals. So if you have time, come and you can recite Om Tari Tutari Turuso, right? The mantras of Taras. So next Sunday, people who were not here before is because your translator is out in DC, so it's not here. So there's practice session, which is good. We need to practice. And so now Geshe would like to welcome your questions, observations. You can ask questions about Bodhisattva ethics now, or we will have another chance later on, right? We'll discuss these things. So. Yeah.
So I have a question about this factor of embarrassment or consideration for others.
Yes.
Now, is it does it have to do with what parents and teachers will think of us, or what others will think of our parents and teachers?
Oh, okay, sure, right. That again,我在的7月写着，我把给，我在的7月写着，我把给根据哪里啊？在那7月写的，但新中间的新的7月写着我给，你个什么当当的看的是变那，你两个的钱那，安尼。가서 게 얘는 기계한테 파마게 그래서 기계한테 파마되게 아니 다 쉐이킹 붙이게 디찬 치기요 말세데 체열에 야만 게 내가 대 제비나 미 샴바게 게 기계한테 파마되서 가지고 좀 러그래로 왕 와서 붙이게 가지고 왔다 대 체열
데데데 다 뭐자 티유세야 되라 뭐사세야 되라가 티유스랑 때가 되면요 뭐사세 현을 때가 되라 비들이 다 이게 디제시는 메현다 그 gen다 이 소도 가보니 어떻게 그 차도 야고 지금 말했음 그래서 현을 때서 그러와 다 소도 잡아 있는 이게 간지가 최바 있는 간지 잡아 지고 뭐다가 최바 지게 디제시는 지금 말했어 잡아 있는 거 잡아 가지고 그만 그러시게나 다 잡아 가지고 그만 말했어 뭐자로 다 티유 버디 사리 다 미션다 라
랑 견제도 지는 뭐자도 신 견제 전 체인
단즈라 샤야지다 다 지도 샤니요 이제
노사
지도로가 당가 세워도 되마서
알레
줄로 지켰는데 양어도 남기면서 샤야지 가가래
알레
비지 티유디 비지를 대기자요 티유와시 뭐자 티유 다 그냥 캐되면도 거인가 걸어와
그래
어디지
다이나 마도 코란 컨디션 디소드게 다 키시다 다 체여버더라 와게 신 준전의 진의 체여 집이나라 와게 신 준전의 세세딩에 레가디 체비나 게 파마다 괜히 셰트그를 지기 요마를 sab들와 디 체여라 야마나 게 레가디 체비나 미 샴바데게 딩에 게겐다 파마데게 딜 컨주먼줄 러버스면 다 체여버 지기 요마를 sab디스
어디도 술 캐요 말에 매술 거지 파마 술 가가서 녀베 거지 매 현다 때는 야고 요 말에서 진짜 수익은 되고 수도 파마 빈자이나 되게 매 현다 술이나 거지 현을 비게 때니 매 현을 때는 비게 점토나 딜은 애는 다 뭐사에 반지 시고로 다 소소야 난 디제지가 니 쉬시 슝게 쉬로 뭐 보셔다 다 디디디 득자시는 디그 말잖아 라운드니로
okay so okay, one thing again I learned here is because I was trying to clarify the way I learned it, right? Many times, and of course, sometimes the way the shame, sense of shame, mosa, and embarrassment, sense of explained is very different, And so I checked with Geshe. This is how I have heard it, I don't know, 10,000 times. But now what he's explaining is just the opposite of that. Like he says, yeah, and he understands that in some texts, this is how explained. So I guess we have to keep that in mind. Anyway, so we can go with any definition. Usually we say that the sense of shame is explained in terms of you take yourself as a reason for not indulging in negative. Let's say I'm a Dharma practitioner, so I cannot hurt other people, right? That would be a shame, right? Or I'm a monk, so I'm not supposed to do this. Sense of embarrassment is we take others for a reason in the sense he said, if I do this, so my anybody actually, any other person, it doesn't have to be your family, right? My family will be disappointed, embarrassed. My teacher will be, right? That's fine, So any other person will disapprove and feel embarrassed. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, please. Could you give the mic? Could you use the mic? We have people behind the glass wall and invisible people linked to that. Yeah.
My question is about the frivolous speech, because sometimes when we're in a room, like let's say before a meeting or in an elevator or something, and you say like, "Oh, what do you think about this rain?" And your intention is, or my intention is to like make connections or to be kind.
Sure.
But I guess what I understand from other readings is that's not, that is frivolous speech. I shouldn't be engaging in that is my question.
Sure, I'll explain. That 이게 ngaje 세죠, 봐. ngaje. ngaje 세대 nga저게다 가서 그래 지 도나메베 계저세 이제 ngaje 세죠, 봐게. 그래서 그런디 컨디슈고르게. 배나 단 남지 nga저 님의 관리야 뭐랑 되네 용도도 사다 지게 미럽스도 미파솔이야다 지 대화 연하셔들 와게. 배나다 nga저 가서 컴퓨터자가 엘리베이션 두고 있는 와게. 벌써 드린 남시디 야고민데 식 라이죠, 봐. 디 ngaje 차고 말았어, 와게. 다 가서 그래 걸 다시라스게 요 말와게 다이네 미피게지 가서 가진 대화서 여기서 라이죠 와게
뭐지 콜이야 데데지로 콜이 페 글레시아 다 네링서 가지 대화셔야 주시나 이쪽이지 말이야 다 데이터는 뭐가 네 메시지게 세워와
네
다 진짜 그냥 셰고야 셰네 진짜 유령 보고 도 셰다 하죠 말이야 진짜 그저래 돼 그거 매봐
나서
there's milk 거예요. 근데 유령 못 마시네요. 소도 속고도 찍지. 때 내고는 양간 두고 있어서는 약보 먹으면 진짜 그배간 때 되는 지고.
No, I think that might not constitute actual what we call for lack of a better word in English frivolous talk or idle gossiping because your intention is to sort of greet the other person or make a connection, right? And so we have some social reasons because we are social animals. We need to connect with people, so that may not necessarily consider. So what it really is like we make the connection with green, right? So we are hanging out together, and we talk about some useful things. Then afterwards, right, we run out of maybe things, right? Then we are just yagadi, we go on, right? That yagadi is the idle gossiping, just talking about everything, and there's nothing to it, Blah, 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 yagadi thing. Oh, that is the idle gossiping part, yeah. Yes, please. Could you send the mic to the back?
My question is about lying. So if we keep motivation in mind, let me give a couple examples.
Right.
Let's say someone is being chased.
Right.
And you tell and it looks like the person who's being chased might get hurt, something
Right.
like that. And you tell the person who's chasing them, they went that way.
Right.
But when they went the other way, lie, right? But your motivation might be to protect or save them. I think I know the answer to that, but it's interesting to bring it up. Another example is more nuanced. Let's say three kids, like 12-year-olds, are at school, and one of them is making fun of the other one. And then a friend, the third kid, overhears it. And the other one's like, what'd you do last weekend? You're a loser. He's being mean or something like that. And then the friend hears it and is like, no, he was with me, to kind of stand up for him because he realizes that kid, his friend, is feeling bad or sad or something. And the motivation, this being a white lie, I guess we would say in English,
Right.
the motivation being to kind of stand up for your friend and make him feel a little better,
Right.
right? So that kind of make,
But
you
is
got
there
it.
any exception to right
Yeah.
for that? Okay.
It's more nuanced.
Sure.
Motivation.
Yes. 다 단다 되긴 안서 나기 미게바나는 준요로 와게.
머리
다 준세 데다 콘서 다 디서게 그런기 케바 가서 쇼고라서 저로 와게. 준 참아서 저로 와. 다 잠잠 가서 그거 견제선에 계속 세지요로 와게.
머리
그러나 거랑기 루주시들 자된 가서 넘주 용다 셔와. 게시 안에 가서 그래. 다 미치 가서 젠대로 와게. 고통야로 신위나 코소스 초가와치면 하고 거로 와. 이는 미리 소저와 이내에 모든 애처럼 와. 격순신을 코파나도 친스 보셔라지 라베나로 와게. 다 격순시거로 와. 이는 그런 차나 양디치 초벌 쇼르 웨스거서 와게. 한 당은 신 거랑이 벤예바디 벤 보고 춘중 로중이 잡았으면 파즈 점제 아니 보고 찍찍은 예제신으로 와게. 전화지긴 봐서 메르나저로 와. 전화게 계신이 메바 가자지 라벤 샴바디 그 잡조chen 마비셔저로 와. 개코 말다 그 조금 아요다 근데 말아 그 녀냠도 여서지 격수시에면으로 와게. 송접시도 아니 디 주유랑 책어라 말서 인서로 와게. 그런 게 봐.
예 단다다 찍부터 다 줘래 벤다 찍 지로 다 가서 너야 되게 다 몸바도 전에다 쇼르데스 통성에서 가르지 계속 현다 시에니 고고고 해야 돼 지워라
몰라 어디로 세워라.
다 근데 그거 이제 이나 소소페 현눈도 삼모 말아
나래.
펜도 자라
나래.
어디 다 너가 그런 로지네 계속 현다 시에니 다 임페 계속 맞이 계속 현다 드랩쇼스 난 상바 싶어서 나기라고 그래서
알아요.
어떻게 되고라
그렇죠.
제가 중원에 다 소소비게 삼모다니 이게 결고라 콜다 이기도 벤 대실로리 찍래셔서 레드 요마 찍래셔서 성능을 내면 이니 켈래셔서 좀 되고 그러와 근데 니시 좋았어
노서.
어디
알아 이네 다 펜도 예배던 시에 약고 됐어.
어디 차에 다 펜스미시네 다 페이지 이제 그 니바시라지 말이다 준들이 이게 가디 준이나 영지 요로와
나래.
펜세야도 인다고 세도를 되는 파신스야는 거 셀타로 그러와
나래. 다 코트 게도 미긴 이가 잘어지고 그러게. 재미있을 잘어지고 그러와. So Geshe says, in regards to your first example, actually there is a similar example talked about in the monks Vinaya practices. Let's say the case was if a hunter was chasing an animal wounded, right? And then you ask somebody on the way, did you see, right? And in the Vinaya text, they didn't say like you just like give the wrong direction, but you can change the conversation like, isn't the weather lovely today, What do you think about that? Or something, Or you just pretend like you didn't hear that. You're like, you mean what's my name? Oh, I'm Tenzin. I don't know, something. So that's something similar to that, right? So the motivation, yes, does make difference here. So the lying as a negative speech is really based upon once the motivation, changing the attitude, right? You're not telling the truth. But if you have a good reason or purpose behind something, as you call white lie in English, So that would be a little different, but it still, it looks like mixed karma, isn't it? In one way, white lie is a lie, so we lied, right? So this little negativity, but it's not really as bad as really the lying we talk about in the speech. But then there's something good about it because you're trying to protect your friend or some other reason. So it's a kind of mixed karma there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, just in sort of a general question about like the bodhisattva vows, and I don't mean it in terms of like a level of commitment, but like Shantideva expresses how easy it is to transgress.
Yes.
And I guess my question is sort of, certain people may take very, very seriously something like bodhisattva vows that are meant to be general guidances and may end up, like banging their head against the wall, very self-deprecation.
Sure.
Because it's very difficult to actually maintain this. And so my question is, if there's any advice on sort of what level of sort of balance,
Sure.
as far as how not to take them not seriously, but how to sort of be realistic about how to actually live in regards to this.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very clear. Thank you. Quran condition the this go again. Da chanju sembeki ane da karso gore. Sadung sai charo again. Tadi mune shira nenga shemu jung nyebar chada ro again. Bana Quran la isana beje da Geshe shiwala je de wasung ma da di kaso da chanju sem sadung de chungya lela bo shoro again. Shazan dine indio kan la ya ta mi khashi ke chanju sem ke domba shu yebe ina ro again. And sembal nang da shibu chenge de ro again. Tang yin kunjo chanju sem domba shu da sabda shibu chena man shi je lu kala ani sadung shira jung nyebu yebe song da sadung ni je ro again. And so bad Quran ji ma ji ben chego do again. Karon so ko kaso jikba shu kwa ro chego ro ba. Da kunjo su는 게 가르치고 그래서 and but 배 시부지기 가서 그래. 근데 마지 버차고도 와서 게. 다 제자 당 안조로 진짜 당 차샤면 전주식 너무 쉬비 나로 와게. 근데 지금 냠내 제단을 좀 말어 게. 시부지 곧 돌을 쉬고 와라 버들 자신 열어서 버려 게. 이내 다냐미 자동이야 그래서 그러고 내가 맞아 비체베는 이미 되게 말어 개되는 와게. 그래서 그 냠내 제단 삼로 당당데 지 용보를 쓰러 와게. 시부지 화폐배서 때 맞아 비체 와야 지 간들 쉬고 있어 게. 너무 치주 제로 되는 미스 말이야.
피지 당기 피지 단다 딘 지 로사서 됐어서 다 정신세백 빌라야 딩마더데 인 몸배 유디시리 지고도 그다 가지고 약고를 다 자동가가 배 딱딱 송더는 그 약고 시위레스 뒤로 서서 더불어시 나섬 그걸 무든 유세 인 락렌 따야데 수도 컨톱지도 피우메기 대비는 간가 샤선 수이 따토 말아
다이네 자동데 차도다 치주로 서버 치주기 그러고.
다때 정선은 됐어. 다 니제도 됐어. 다 쇼베신의 공다 샤자 저 공다수는 상셔샤 동안은 샤워 동조 멀시아지로. 알는 따도는 되시고.
나르죠.
거기 니마의 소소도 시다도 시에는 공다 가제 형도 약로 걸리죠. 그거는 뭐 니가 집샤를 당시도 와.
나래.
인지샤다는 야보시는 가고. 인데 그거 독자 정도는 엔 지음으로 시작하시고 그랬을 때 그때 러닝 도장 거라 되게도.
So Geshe says that at our level, of course, I mean we if we have already taken bodhisattva vows, or so we have that commitment. Yes, we in a sense we have to take seriously, but not to the extent that we are going to bang our head on the wall, right, or crack our skulls or something, because we take it too seriously, and because I mean, as you said, these transgressions, relatively speaking, are easy to happen, right? So as in somewhere in this Lamri, it was like, and we sincerely do as best as we can what we couldn't, right, at this point. So we just aspire to be able to do it better, right, through. So that's sort of more like aspirational commitment for us, right? That I'll do as much as I can, and then if I make any mistakes or if I make transgression, then I'm going to engage in the purification, right? Restoration practices. So that's the way we can bring balance, right? We cannot pretend to be able to keep all of those things moment, and that's why he said, the way the practitioner is like, said in the evening, we just kind of have assessment about today's practice, right? How have I done? What are the vows I kept well? So we appreciate ourselves. And what are the things I really made a mistake, right? So I really feel bad about this, and I'll try to do it better tomorrow, right? And confess it. This is how, we improve. So we cannot take it too seriously that we become so unhappy and stressful and bang our head on the wall. But we cannot be too negligent about it because it's our practice. So it's more like do what you can, and then aspire to do it better. That's the, yeah.
뭐 뒤에 단데 자기 뒤는 성사해서 아니 갈래 셔야 돼. 이니 유딘 리브신 야제 도니 따라lên 그러면 내가 지금 될렌도야 뭐. 기다네 이니 가서 콩 맥장생라로. 제 거제 템포셔도 자기들 알사이나 인도지 배지 터부인서 넘다지는데 팬도 말아.
So I think the advice we hear, here and again throughout the Lamrim is that we should just always think about improvement, right? We're going through. It's not like we can do everything perfectly right now, right? That's not the idea, right? Perfection might come at the end. So that whatever we could practice well, we appreciate it. What we could improve, we will do that, right? So do the purification, practice and so on. And one of the advices that often our gurus give us is in terms of practice, really we have to have some kind of a broader perspective and attitude, right? That we have to really think in terms of the long run, right? Not to rush everything as if we have to complete and fulfill something right here and there, Just think the long term. Stability is important, right? Consistency is very important. Rushing and speeding up is not necessarily, a part of that, Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It is on.
Well, I'm a little bit confused about why there's so much emphasis here in the practice of in the context of ethics of perfections on not breaking, for example, the pratimoksha vows for a bodhisattva, because presumably a bodhisattva doesn't have a self-cherishing, and if there is no self-cherishing, there is no basis for arising of attachment, anger, all these things. So the bodhisattva is incapable of actually breaking these vows, incapable of engaging the afflicted form of the transgressions.
Yes.
So what is the point of even saying that?
Sure. Thank you. Yes, I heard you. Can this go? When I'm going to show the that under the changes in the studium ki participate ko do again. But and changes in the domden in be and so that do bal chede shi buche ursun go again. The naga shi lo go again. Changes in by some so that chede ma ji shi ma so and the ko kan shi go do but changes about one chin be na and be shen de ma shin kong ju me gen rang chin ji yo ma lo so again. Rang chin ji Ranjing law Yamar was care. Ranjing law mesa, and Shanlia, and Ranjing on the Chakwa chair, that Jig chair that they get Nimi the Yomar again. Sanju Sambalia, D now or Vasagota, question didn't you that something you ever sons are, and a patient during Benadachi, Chilon Tavina, and a lega, Casota, Migi Legas or again. Didn't now your said, didn't you ever chane, and Delia Soda, Dombalche, she would check where she was with the Carina, so change somebody.
I did it. So that's the Shazuma did or Shazuma Karsa. 기신 지에서 아니 대리시 녀도 그래야 되지 뭐부터 상수 내 통과해야 돼 그러다 소도 사도 치고 뭐도 이제 그게 사토버나 희그 소소 또 대도 요말 봐 뭐냐가 요
알레 상수 내 통과
갑디도 잔데 그러면 콜레레시 돼야 요말 봐 어디샤데 어디지 딱 가게 들어야 그래서 그게 다 저주스거나 비제단 저비신다 소다도 마다 저주스님이 가자 시기에서는 이도 쇼그룹이 정신심 쌓아셔요. 진짜 이대신세요. 다 정수야 뭐 지금 다 사다 지워서 때때 이게나 가시면서 니들 키즈시나. 인자동 좀 거다.
I think the emphasis put here on observing pratimoksha vows is really more in terms of very ordinary bodhisattvas. These are real bodhisattvas. But yes, they have this precious bodhicitta mind, but other than that, they still have afflictive emotions, So they really need to still grow. So they are not on a highly realized bodhisattva where they have a stability of thing. So therefore, if they kind of indulge in the thinking, but now I'm a bodhisattva, right? You kind of belittle your monk or something, then it can be a problem,
So they still have self-cherishing?
디시디 갈라단다 디 가서라 소다 다들밖에 전주 선바 소절이야 란치지 요초거로 봤을 거
라
전주 선바 소절이야 봐
어디래
란치지 요초거로 봤을
로진데 야 유지래
노서
유지래
노서
자그 로진데 갑자기 자고로 와
노서
야 데이터 닝지 삼바타 세 지도와 피지 티버디 로진데 유사래다
노서
변동시에는 닝지 첨부 심지다 닝지 여부 직바로 와
나래
레디 다 딱지 딩마도 시에서는 되네 비 심지 현다 유명게 닝지다 소소 빈자로 다 비드레 닝지인데 누구 있나
노서
때 제발 있어로 와
노서
요래
노서
닝지 삼바타서 수리는站的영지도站没有的是工作了，比如现在你这全部有的有的，你全部的休息日有了，
나래
我的是说
인지
是
선바 다바도 가발리고 사르 세면 게
那他这东西到呢，那在空配的希腊生理套是那是不是你就上不到用都温度，
노서 노서
这不都要么的？
Yeah, Geshe thinks, yeah, I mean, deep down they still could have, certain sabotaging attitude. Although, yes, they are doing their best, right? They have bodhicitta, they try to counteract it, but still there is, As we said, I think the other day we talked about Nyingji Sambataba, whether your compassion is really this kind of a purified form of compassion, which only happens when you have internalized the union of calm abiding and shamatha, right, with emptiness notion. Until that, you still deep down has, certain self-chasing attitude. The way to really check with that is if somebody is going to, let's say, somebody has really this great compassion for everybody. I want everybody to be free. But then if you really look carefully in the nuances of that compassionate experience, maybe the way you feel compassion for your family and people who near you and those who are completely total strangers, there will be something, still not quite on par, right? So that's that issue. So we'll stop there today. Thank you very much, right? Unless anybody has the last question you want to ask or something. Before I forget, tomorrow is the Tibetan Losar or the New Year. It is the fire and bird. Some call it rooster. I want to call it bird year, and we will, do a very simple, Losar greeting and ceremony in the morning at 7 here. So if you have time to be able to come. So as most of you know, right, we come together and we do prayer for the long life of His Holiness Dalai Lama. We wish everybody happy Losar. And then we have probably some simple, Tibetan cookies and tea and things like that. So think of that as a breakfast, I think. And then we can go to our work in school. Or if you have no job, you can enjoy more. So tomorrow 7, we will have ceremony here, so you are welcome to that. And next Sunday is practice of Chidamanitara, right? No teaching, okay? And then after that, once you have translated returns from DC, following Sunday we will go back to a special insight section of the Lamrim, the volume number 3 in the English translation. Kange lo de timnye jinja ninda namda rapsebe shinye tungun shishin sije nije towa lebam zen kanda sebe zunra mare mendon dungen yese lozo gunla hoje taze yela chuju yangden son
조다 셔도 니모 니모
leje changro zheze je mare meze dungen yuwo jinye zheze rade nam
데네 다지 사지 타고
연대한 른도 야세 토요고 주라 주다 주니
달루메세
잠배 양라 요 마라바잔다 오마라바잔나 데 젠덴 죄제 제라 외세제 달류 데모 멤버 랍세네 가다 대주 숑로 도바 로드 바베 나와 젠도스 로드 자즈 위중 베가제 계사 봉베 쥐도 멤버신 덴바젠라 왕도 지주 당년 조근교 소원데 page 21. Obeisance to my Guru and Protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text symbolic of our seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You who strike a thunder-like proclamation of Dharma, arouses us from the stupor of our delusions, and free us from the iron chains of our karma, who wields the sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. You who have been pure from the beginning, who have completed the stages achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri, Om Arabhata Na Di. O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so that I may gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. Page 31. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate being, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in upholding the precious doctrine. To you, O Lobsang Tenzin Wangda, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí ngài điều phục hai chướng ngại, tựa nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghiệm. Từ tim ngài Bát Nhã Kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô biên, sở hữu 60 pháp âm thủ thắng, cùng đại bi ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử. Tiếng rồng vang ngài thức tỉnh hữu tình, thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp báu. Minh tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn, trưởng tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác. Ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân, báu thân ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh. 112 tướng hạo Như Lai, đê đầu đảnh lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, cúi xin ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasana Di, con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, bàn pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh. Pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận giải, như diệu hương ngọt ngào từ sen trắng, đản xanh nơi trí thủ thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ong mật thọ lương, hồng danh ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo uy dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lobsang Tenzin Wangda, xin cung kính trì niệm.
Sanje Jindo Mede Viva Ye Dogen Namda Shin Cheba Jo Kanri Rave Gobe Shingam De Pendan Dewa Malu Jungwe Chere Zewa Tinzin Gyazo Ye Shabe Side Ba Then yo ye dong guru ratna mandela gani. Well, there's a wonderful book called Bodhisattva Vows by Geshe Rinchen. In the appendix, there are all the transgressions in case, right? Anybody's interested. It's in the bookstore.